Showtime, baby. We made it to the Vision Lab podcast. What up, Cuff? What up, Mo? Cat Daddy K104. One.
Welcome back to the Vision Lab podcast. I'm your host, Ryan Cuffey, alongside my co-host, Mr. Ryan Mosley. In partnership with Nexum Creative, and we are ecstatic in the lab, in the building. We've got a living legend that has dropped by to share all of his nuggets and wisdom with us. Yo, Mo, who do we have on the show?
Cuff, today's guest is a native of Baton Rouge, Louisiana. He started his career at the age of 17 after being discovered by working at a McDonald's drive-thru. He's been a fixture in the DFW radio scene since 2001, and you can hear him on the airways at night from 7 to 12 on K104. Everyone, please welcome Cat Daddy to the Vision Lab podcast.
All hail. All hail. What up, Vision Lab? How y'all doing, fellas?
Man, we groovy, man. Hey, blessed and grateful that you dropped into the lab. You know, this is dope, man. You're a living legend, man.
Yeah, well, first I got to apologize, man. I know y'all been trying to get me on here for the last, 2 or 3 months. My man Silas made the connect.
Yes, big ups to Silas.
And man, if we'd have done this right, man, I'd have been in the studio with y'all about 2 months ago. But yeah, you're right, man. Finally, we getting it in. And this is cool, man. This is my first little, setup like this. So I'm excited to be on with y'all, man.
Absolutely. Before we get started, Cuff, let us pay some bills.
Yes, sir.
Thank you to our sponsors, Paul and the whole crew at Nexum Creative. Thank you to Robert Garcia at Farmers Insurance in Lucas, Texas. We also want to give a big shout out to Edwina and the family at Blowing Smoke Cigar Lounge in Duncanville, Texas. The address is 215 West Camp Wisdom Road. And also a big shout out to the good guys, if you will, Definition Cigars. You can find them on Instagram at Definition Cigars or on their website at definitionscigars.com. So
let's just jump on into it, Kat. Like Mo talked a little bit about it in the introduction. How did you really get your start into radio?
Yeah, so man, what a blessing. I was working at McDonald's, man. No lie, bro. I worked at McDonald's when I was 16, and they put me on the grill and I'm flipping burgers and I'm dropping fries and I'm cooking nuggets. That's what they start you off in. And I used to be back there telling jokes. So, fixing burgers, Big Macs, and then, cutting up on the side. And my manager said, hey, man, you keep running your mouth back there on the grill and I'm going to put you in the drive-thru. And so, so I was like, bro, I work for you, man. You want to put me in the drive-thru, put me in the drive-thru. I was a little smart ass about it. And so, so he puts me in the drive-thru. And then, they had the lady train me over the next couple of days. And then after about a week of it, I started to get the hang of it. You take the order, you tell them to meet you at the window, you take the money, you give them that change, they send them to the next window. And so, like, after about a week of that, I get to work one day and my boss was like, hey, what have you been doing in the drive-thru? And I was like, what do you mean? What's wrong? He was like, nah, man, people been requesting you. And I was like, requesting me? He was like, yeah, man. He's like, man, when you're not there, people notice that you're not there. They're always like, where's the other guy that's normally here? And so I was like, dang. He was like, yeah, man, you're doing a great job. Keep it up. He should have never done that, because then I just turned my swag. I turned my swag onto a whole nother level, man. I was like, hey, welcome to McDonald's, home of the Big Mac with the 2 beef patties and a special sauce. Go ahead and glance over that menu and order when you're ready, And so, so like, just having fun, you gave me a microphone. I was cutting up on the grill with the burgers. So with the microphone, he just gave me a green light to just enjoy the job and make the most of the situation. I was only making, $4.25 an hour or whatever it was at the time for minimum wage.
Yeah.
And so, so I take this guy's order one night and he gets to the window, to pay. And he looks at me and he says, wait a minute, that's you on the intercom? And I was like, yes, sir. He said, what are you doing in the drive-thru at McDonald's? And I was like, working? I was like, bro, I was like, I just got promoted, bro. I was on fries last week, man. Like, I'm moving up, And so he said, nah, that's not what I mean. He said, son, you need to be on the radio. And at 17 years old, he offered me my first job. So yeah, I'm so glad that he didn't go to Taco Bell that night,
Right?
bro. Man.
So glad you was on the schedule that night too, huh?
Yeah, I know. That's what I tell people. I say, man, if I'd have been on a 15-minute lunch break, or if I'd have been off that night, or if I'd have been an asshole, or if
you called in.
Yeah, if I'd have called in, or if, it would have been a completely different situation for my life. And the more and more I tell that story, man, it's the more I realize it's never about you. It's always about what you can give and the opportunities you can present for somebody else, the gifts and the passion that you see in somebody else, and you have the opportunity to set them up for something bigger and better. You need to take that opportunity. He saw that in me, and he heard it through the microphone, and just that brief 20, 30-second interaction completely changed my life. And man, just an absolute blessing. And I'll never take not 1 second for granted ever.
Let me ask you this.
Did you believe him when he actually asked you that, like about being on the radio?
So he recognized me because I went to Baton Rouge High. Okay. And he said, wait, I know you. Like, he's like, I've seen you, you know what I'm saying, at Baton Rouge High. He said that. I said, yeah. I said, I'm about to be a senior. And he's like, man, you would be great on the radio. So my high school was the only high school in a country that had an AM and FM radio station. These are legit radio stations. This is not like a Saved by the Bell that just runs through the courtyard and runs through the hallways. Like, this is a legit radio station. And they had a jazz station on the FM, and they had a classic soul station on the AM. So James Brown, Aretha Franklin, you know what I'm saying, Wilson Pickett, Al Green, Sam Cooke, all the good soul music, you know what I'm saying? Right. So that's how I came up with the name Cat Daddy, because that's the genre of music that I was introduced to be on the radio. And so it was just a unique opportunity at a young age. And I went to class. Like, that's what I did for my class. So he said, hey, sign up to be in radio as an elective. And so, like, for 6th hour, that's what I did. I had headphones. I go into the studio, and for an hour and a half, I was on the radio playing, the classics, man. It was really cool. They had like a script for us to read, and it was like, hi, my name is blank. That song was blank, blank, blank. Coming up next, we have blah, blah, blah. And so, like, man, like, after about a week of that, I was like, hey, man, I need to sauce this script up a little bit. And so he was like, all right. He was like, you want to? He's like, you can have some fun with it. So then I was like, AM 1260 KBRH, your home for solid gold soul. This is Cat Daddy checking in for 6th hour. That right there was the hardest working man in show business, James Brown. Papa's got a brand new bag. So that was just the flow. That was I learned how to get my cadence together. And so, like, after about a month of my senior year, so that was August, September. So yeah, I guess about October, he calls me into his office and he says, you really like this, huh? And I said, yeah. I said, he said, well, I want you to come and do a show on Saturdays. And I was like, we don't have school on Saturday. He said, no, we're going to pay you. And I was like, you're going to pay me? He's like, yeah, you'll get a check from the school board. And I was like, okay. So he's like, it's a 3-hour shift on Saturday. It'll be the Rhythm Request show with Cat Daddy. You know what I'm saying? You take your phone calls, you take your requests, you know what I'm saying? You play whatever people want, you do your shout outs. And so I was like, all right. I said, but I'm not going to get on the radio and say my real name. I want to come up with a DJ name. He was like, okay, well, go figure it out and then let me know what you want to do. So then I went to my 7th hour class, and I told everybody, all my crew, my 7th hour class, I was like, hey, they about to give me my own show at the radio station. And they were like, what? I was like, yeah, they're going to pay me in everything. It was only like $5 an hour, but I was still excited because I was, making progress. And they were like, all right. And I was like, well, y'all got to help me find a cool name. And they were like, okay, yeah, what about Radio Randy? And I was like, no, I don't like that Radio Randy. And then we were coming up with all these slick names. And then one girl was like, man, what about Cat Daddy? And I was like, damn, that's it. You know what I'm saying? It kind of fits with my vibe. I'm kind of flirty. You know what I'm saying? Try to be extra cool every time. And so I told my teacher, I said, hey, I'm going to call myself Cat Daddy. He was like, all right, sounds good, man, do it. And so that was the kickoff. I did a Saturday show, or I did my show, my shows during the week, like I was going to class. And on Saturday, I showed up, did my 3-hour show. And every time I got my report card, I would get a paycheck. And so it was really dope. Yeah, it was really dope, man. At a young age, I had just been immersed into this career very quickly. And, you know, to hear people tell some of their stories. I know, Mo, you told me that you worked at ESPN. I'm sure you got some good radio stories, you know what I'm saying, on that commercial side. But just to hear stories of people that go to college and they get journalism and broadcast degrees and can't find a job, can't find experience, and don't get the reps on air like I was getting every day when I was in high school. And so, man, just super appreciative that, you know, that I had that opportunity, and just, man, it's introduced me to an incredible life, man. The things that I've seen, the places I've been, and the people I've met. Just so glad the dude didn't go to Burger King that night, man.
Hey, so, you know, you get approached in the drive-through. He's like, yo, you need to be on the radio. You end up working at the radio at the school. Where did you learn to perfect your craft in terms of, you know, your cadence, your rhythm, your style? I know that you pulled it from, you know, listening to, like you mentioned, James Brown, Aretha Franklin, so on and so forth. But how did you learn that whole cadence? Like, this is who my on-air personality is.
Yeah. So this is the fun part, because you only know what you've been exposed to. You know, you can only, you know, see what's there to you to see, or listen to what's there for you to listen to. So, you know, in Louisiana, there's a guy named Wild Wayne in New Orleans at Q93 that I used to love listening to. You know what I'm saying? He was playing bounce music 92, 93, and he was just a DJ that was on the radio. A guy named Jewel Jackson. He was working in Baton Rouge at the hip hop station. And, you know, those were kind of the guys that were just there. You know, they were the DJs that were on the radio. So that's who you are when you get on the radio. You know, you find your own way of blending your personality, your own sauce into what you've seen and what you learned. Like, okay, I like how they do this segment, but I'm going to do my version and it sounds like this. You know, I like how they introduce music, and I'm going to do my version and flip it like that. You know, it's no different than any art. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you know, you're not the first person to pick up a paintbrush. You see something that inspires you and motivates you, and you kind of follow, I don't want to say follow the blueprint. You just follow their example, and you know, you put them and say, man, this guy is great. This guy sounds good. How can I even be close to what they're doing? And how can I be even close to how they sound? And then you find your own voice, you find your own rhythm with that. I remember when I first worked for another station, after I left my high school radio station, I got people in the other cities to send me air checks from what their stations were doing, because all I knew was what I was listening to in Baton Rouge. And, you know, there was no internet at the time where you can just click and, you know, listen live for anything. So I would call my people in Atlanta, or in San Diego, or here in Dallas. I'm like, hey, do me a favor, just take a cassette tape and just record. And then when the tape is over, flip it over and record that side. I just want to hear what they're doing in other cities, because I didn't know anything else other than what I was listening to, you know, and back home. And so it's crazy that, you know, one of the first tapes I got in 1998 was from Hot 97 in Atlanta. A guy named Chris Lover and Poon Daddy had a show. Yeah. And I just thought they were cool. You know, they had their own little rhythm. They had their own little style of show. You know, they would talk for 2, 3, 4 minutes at a break, which we weren't doing. And I was like, man, they're more conversational with their breaks. They're more conversational with their when they talk on the radio. So I kind of adapted some of that. Like, hey, relax a little bit. It doesn't always have to be DJ Stick. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, and then you're out. You know, sometimes you can be more personable, and you can, you know, be a little bit more revealing with your opinions and stuff like that. And I learned that from Ludacris, man. I still have those tapes, man, which is crazy. I'm gonna post one time for Throwback Thursday and share that with the
no, listeners. You need to, for sure.
But by the way, everybody, Chris Lover is who we all know today as Ludacris. He started off as a radio DJ, for those who don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Chris Lover and Poon Daddy had a show called The Future Flavor Show on Hot 97, and they had cool skits, man. They had, you know, dope giveaways. And then Ludacris also did the intro for, golly, I want to say DJ Nab. I think he had the intro. So he, you know, he was like his coworker, but he did the intro for his show. And then Ludacris did an intro, you know, started with Disturbing the Peace, and think his first like major move was they put one of his songs on the Madden soundtrack. Like when you turn on the game, they had Ludacris on there. And so I was like, dang, this is the same dude I have on my air check from the radio. And then he just blew up from there. So yeah, so, he's one of the people I can really say, man, that's taken a DJ career and turned it to a whole nother
level
thing, man. Him and like Ryan Seacrest and those guys are on another level with it.
So let me ask you this. You talked about how you reached out to some of your friends that were in other cities, like, yo, send me an air check,
Mm-hmm.
What was your mindset? Like, how did you know to have that mindset? Because you're in the thick of things, like you're grinding, trying to find your voice, trying to find your way, your personality. What was your mindset to go out and ask folks, like, yo, send me an air check from your city station?
My mindset was, pretty much like anybody else, man. I wanted to get pussy. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's really what it was, Radio is amazing because, it feeds off your ego so much. And it's really only your voice. So you don't really get a chance to judge somebody by what they look like and how they dress and stuff like that. So I just wanted to be as cool as I could on the radio. I wanted girls to call up and be like, hey, Cat Daddy, and that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to see what everybody else is doing. Like, what am I missing? It can't be, because if all I'm doing is listening to my man, Jewel Jackson, if all I'm doing is listening to Night Prince, then that's what I'm going to feel like I'm going to sound like. You know what I'm saying? And I need to get other influences. I need to get other flavors to add to my repertoire that I can pull from. You know what I'm saying? That way they you sound so much like so-and-so. Dang, yeah, because that's all I'm listening to. Of course I'm going to sound like, the next person. But, that offered me an outlet that nobody else, at least in Baton Rouge, was on. You know what I'm saying? I was like, well, if I pull from here and pull from here, I can do something that they've never heard, and it'll be like brand new to them.
Yeah.
But then again, putting my own twist and my own flavor on it makes it my own. And I think that's what it was, man. I just wanted to be the best. People were telling me I sounded good, and I wasn't impressing myself. That's one of the toughest things I've learned in this business is like people be impressed with some simple things that you do, but you need to be able to impress yourself. That's still what keeps me going to this day, man. Every night I try to do something that I'm like, yo, that was dope. That I can tell myself, that I feel good about something that I've done, because people will always think that, that you're doing something cool or whatever. But I just wanted to hear something else,
So
how did you get from Louisiana to here? That's what I'm curious about.
Man, I got stories for y'all, bro. You have no idea. I got stories for y'all. So
hey, we ain't got no time limit.
That's perfect. Okay, so all right. So first, let me tell you how I got from a high school radio station to a station called Max 94.1 in Baton Rouge. So this was the first hip-hop station on FM. They had a hip-hop station that was on AM where I would listen to Jewel Jackson and Night Prince, but it was on AM. And then hip-hop was just starting to surge, late mid-90s, like on the radio. Like it was just surging. And so the guy that was the program director at my high school radio station also worked on the morning show at 94.1. So I asked him, I said, hey, man, like, I've never even asked to be on the radio before because y'all brought me here. But now I see something that I'm kind of interested in. How do I go about doing that? Like, what move do I make? Do I need to fill out an application? Do I just go knock on the door? He said, no, what you need to do is you need to put together an air check. And this is my first time hearing about what an air check was. He was like, what you need to do is you put 5-6 minutes of your best stuff, coming in and out of songs, doing your breaks, putting callers, the interaction. They just want to see, see how your flavor is, see your interaction. So I was like, all right, cool. So I put together an air check, 5 good minutes of my stuff. And he said, okay, I'll bring it to the program director. And this is in the same city, everything in Baton Rouge is, 10 miles away from, And so he drops it off with the program director, and he's like, yeah, wait a couple weeks and then call him and see if he listened to the air check. And I was like, all right, cool. So a couple weeks go by and I call him and I say, hey, Al J, that's the guy's name, Al J Wallace. I said, Al J, this is Cat Daddy. I said, I don't know if Rob, the guy named Rob Pear, he said, did he give you my air check? Because I filled out an application and a little resume and I dropped off an air check with Rob. He said he was going to bring it to you. He said, oh yeah, I'm looking at it right here on my desk, but I haven't listened to it. He said, I'll listen to it and I'll give you a call next week. I said, okay, cool. Take your time. I'll hit you back. And so 2 weeks go by, no call. So I called him again. I said, hey, Al J, this is Cat Daddy. I was just wondering if you had a chance to listen to that air check. I really would like to get on with y'all. He said, tell you what, man, what are you doing tomorrow? I said, nothing, I got school, but I'm off at 2:00 or whatever. He said, okay, we'll come by and we'll listen to it together. I was like, all right, this is dope. So get out of class. I go to the radio station. I'm dressed up in my church clothes. You know what I'm saying? Looking around. I got my sweater on and whatever else. And he's like, okay, so let's listen to your air check. And it's only like a 4-minute air check, 5 minutes or whatever. And he listens to it and he's, I see him doing like this. He's biting his lip. You can tell he's thinking of something. He said, you sound good. And I said, oh, thanks. He was like, are you taking radio classes in college? And I was like, nah, I'm already on the radio, so I really don't feel like I need to take classes. There's no substitute for experience. He's like, oh, you got a good point. He said, well, I don't have anything on the hip hop station, but I can put you on the country station. Because it's like a cluster of radio stations. You got sports,
Yep.
They got 5, 6 radio stations. You know how it is, Mo. He said, well, I got a spot on the country station, and it's just an overnight gig, and you'll get some experience. And I'm like, man, I'm not really feeling country music, so I'm not worried about that. I said, anything else? He was like, no, that's all I got. And I was like, all right, cool. And I was like, I shook his hand. I thanked him for the interview, and then I walked out. And I called my guy that set up the interview, and I told him, I was like, what's up, man? I just left their little interview. He's like, oh, how'd it go? And I was like, yeah, he wants me to work at the country station. And my homeboy was like, that's what's up, man. You in the door, bro. That's what I'm talking about, man. Yes, you get it. And I was like, nah, I told him no. I told him I didn't want to work. He's like, Cat Daddy, it's not that type of business. You don't get to just pick and choose, oh, I want to do the morning show. I want to do the night show. I want to do this. He said, call him back right now and tell him you would come in there and you would change the trash cans at the country station until you get on. And so I was like, all right, man, all right. So I called him back. He said, Al J, man, I made a big mistake, man. I'm going to go ahead and take that job at the country station. He was like, the position's already been filled.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa.
So I messed up bad, bro. So 2 weeks go by and I call him back. I say, hey, Al J, this is Cat Daddy. He's like, who?
Wow.
Ooh. I said, it's Cat Daddy. I just was in there last 2 weeks with the air check. He was like, yeah, nothing's available yet. So, we'll let you know. I was like, all right, thanks, man. A month goes by. I call him again. I say, hey, Al J, what's up, man? This is Cat Daddy. Cat Daddy, you don't need to keep calling me, okay? I will call you when we have something. I was like, all right, man. And I'm just beating myself up. I was in the office. I had the opportunity. The position was there for me to take just to get in my foot in the door. And I told him, no, like, what the hell? I'm never going to forgive this mistake. But at the same time, I'm in college, so it's not like a serious, this is just a part-time job. I'm not really thinking as a career. I'm not thinking like that. And so another month goes by and another month goes by. This is like 4 months later. I'm listening to the radio and they're giving away Master P CDs every hour. And so it's probably like 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. And I call up and I win the CD. The lady on the DJ on the radio, her name was Adrienne Long. She's like, hey, caller number 9 to win or whatever, you win the Master P CD. And so I was caller number 9. I won the CD. I was excited. I was like, yeah. She was like, who is this? I was like, this is Cat Daddy. I'm calling out of Sherwood Forest, like just getting slick. Like, here's my chance to get on the radio. And so I won the CD. And then off air, we had a conversation and I was like, yeah, I'm actually really trying to get a job up there. I'm trying to get a position on staff. And she was like, well, you got to keep calling. I was like, yeah, I kept calling. They told me to stop calling. She was like, no, that's what they like. She's like, they really want to know that you really are interested in this job because they need people that are really dedicated. They don't want people to just fly by night. They want people that are really down. I said, okay, well, I'll call him, I'll call him back, next week or whatever. So like 2 or 3 days later, I go to the station to pick up the Master P Ghetto Dope CD. And I go to the receptionist, and I'm sitting right there at the front desk in the lobby. And the super sweet lady, I forget her name, but I said, I'm here to pick up my Ghetto Dope CD I went on the radio. She's like, okay, yeah. She's like, what's your name? I told her my name. She pulled it up. She gave me the CD. And I was like, and you know what? I would really like to talk to Al J. Is Al J Wallace in his office? I would really like to talk to him. And she was like, oh, no, he's coming out his office right now. And so I look, and he opens up the door, and he's walking down the hallway, right? And before I can say anything, he looks at me and he says, Cat Daddy, what are you doing Sunday night? I need somebody to work midnight to 6.
Boom. Boom.
That was it. And for everybody listening, Cat Daddy will agree. Like what he said, the radio business is full of stories just like that. Like when you work in radio, all you're trying to do is just find a way into the building. Like I said, whether you're picking up trash, if you're sending emails to people, you literally just want to be in the building. So when somebody goes off their rocker one day, or somebody just up and quits and leaves, you're there to pick up the pieces, and then you take off and go from there. That's what radio is all about.
Man, that is, dog. You got to be around if you want to get down. And that's what it is. You keep showing up. Like if people call me all the time at the station, be like, how can I get down? I'm like, you want to get on the radio? Keep showing up at all our remotes. Keep showing up at all our concerts, and just see who's there that works for the station and introduce yourself. Show them what you do as far as interacting with the crowd, or interacting with listeners, or interacting with the artists, which is really good too, because that's the type of people that are going to end up working. You have a gift of gab. You have a you naturally gravitate towards.
You can levitate too, though.
You can levitate too. Take it to another level. But you gravitate towards people, and you just have a knack for conversation. And it's almost like you never meet a stranger, that type of attitude, to where you feel like, man, I know this person and I just met them. We're at a concert together, so we have something in common. Or we're eating at the same restaurant, we have something in common. Or we're at the same place, so we have something in common. And you kind of build those relationships just off of those opportunities. And that's what I tell people. Hey, if you want to get down, you got to be around. Just come and show up as much as you can. Because if you can sacrifice that much time, if you can sacrifice being away from your other job, or being away from your family, or from school, or whatever, and you keep showing up, like you said, Mo, like these are the people that are like, hey, we need somebody to help us put up the tent. You're standing right there, and you've seen us do it 100 times. Come do it. Like, I can tell you, man, 5, 10 people off the top of my head that work at K104 that started off because their friend was there, and they kept showing up at all our parties and kept showing up at all our club things. And next thing you know, they're like, hey, I want to get on the mic too. It's an amazing industry,
Let me ask you this, Kat. Was radio, prior to you being 16, 17 years old, was that something that you always wanted to be in? Did you always want to be a personality, or were you just did it just fall in your lap?
Like I said, man, I always wanted pussy. So wherever it was over here, they get it. Nah, I don't know, man. I can go back to kindergarten. Man, and tell you that when I used to show up at school and when I used to be around I just didn't feel normal, not like better than anybody else or anything like that. I just felt like
you knew something special was about yourself.
Right. Like I could just see things and like I wanted to narrate everything that I saw, like I wasn't in the classroom to learn because I'd mastered school. Like, okay, the teacher tells you something on Monday, then the teacher tells you it on Tuesday, then on Wednesday y'all do a review, on Thursday you take a quiz, and then on Friday's the test. Like I mastered that part of school, like that's just, I can regurgitate the information you gave me. I mastered that, but I was more into it for the personality. Can y'all hear my wife doing dishes over here? Can y'all hear that?
No, you're good.
Okay, good. All right, keep going. But no, that's where it comes from, man. I have a huge family. I got 12 brothers and sisters.
Dang.
So yeah, like I wasn't never trying to fit in. I was always trying to stand out. You know what I'm saying? At no point in my life did I feel like, hey, I want to be like everybody else. No point in my life did I ever want that.
So speaking of standing out, now I don't remember when it was, but it could have been. When did you get to K104? Just rough ballpark, because it's going to play into my story.
Okay, yes. So that was 2001.
Okay, so
Yeah,
I would have
him.
been in college coming back,
Mm-hmm.
and that's when I heard you doing the high school mix that you do,
Okay.
at night, and I'm like, yo,
Yeah.
okay, that's dope, whatever. I was in college, I just, a couple years removed from high school, so I still have friends or whatever, and I heard you on the air, and I'm like, okay, that's cool, whatever. It wasn't until years later, I'm like, you talk about not fitting in and being, a little different or whatever. I'm like, oh snap. This ain't what I thought it was gonna be. Cat Daddy's different. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? Like how has being white been such an advantage for you in terms of like taking people by surprise? Because your flavor, your flow, your style, your swag is like on 10. And then
Right.
people see you and it's like, oh snap. You know what I'm saying? Like how often you take people, aback with that?
That's somebody tells me that every day of my life, man. They tell me that every day of my life. I've been here almost 20 years, and somebody will tell me, man, we thought you was white. And that's really more or less just for them. You know what I'm saying? I don't really think about it. To me, soul ain't got no color. You know
No,
what
for
I'm saying?
sure.
Yeah, where I'm from, it's just like, everybody in Louisiana got sauce. And so this is, like, I didn't know the DJs that I listened to. I didn't know what they looked like until I met them. You know what I'm saying? So that's the advantage that radio gives you, is you have your chance to let your soul shine. You got a chance to let your spirit flow before people, can judge you and make their preconceived, notions. Like I said, we vibing, me and you, Cuff. We vibing because you jamming to the nightlife.
Yeah.
And you dig in the pep rally, you know what I'm saying? You dig in the pep rally and the flow, and you just like, okay, cool. So without even knowing each other, we automatically have something in common. We have a common denominator, and we connect on that. And that's just all that matters to me, is the connection.
Yeah.
And so, if that helps me far as, notoriety or recognition, like, oh, that's the white guy or whatever, that's cool. I'll take it. I'm sure that there's been a lot of opportunities. It's like, yo, we remember this guy because he's white. I've heard, oh, that's the white guy. That's cool. And if I had green hair and they were like, oh, that's the guy with green hair. If I had face tattoos and they were like, oh, that's the guy with face tattoos. You know what I'm saying? I would take it, same way. But yeah, just I don't know, man. You'd have to ask those people. I know, like, I've been at Summer Jam and stuff like that, and people are like, man, you're the only white person here. And I'm like, man, I didn't even, I was just here jamming.
But we vibing though.
We vibing, and that's just how I was raised. You know what I'm saying? I didn't never really try to be, nothing else than just what I feel,
All right. So you look up now, and it's the mid 2000s, and you're at K104.
Yeah.
When did you really start to have a grasp or an understanding of the actual position you were in?
Probably before I even got here, man.
Really?
Oh yeah, man. I mean, so in Baton Rouge, the population is probably like 600,000 people. In Dallas, Fort Worth, it's like 6 million people. And, being in Baton Rouge and working on the radio was great. And they were paying me $8 an hour. And I was, getting girls. And that was it, And then I wasn't looking for a career. I wasn't looking to try to do something else in radio. I was in college, and this is my job. I was at McDonald's, and then I'm on the radio. And then I was in school the whole time. My whole focus was just school. I graduated high school, went straight to college, didn't skip no time. And then the opportunity came work for the station in Baton Rouge. And so that was just what I did. It wasn't like something I was trying to do, far as like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. It's just like, I'm in it, I'm going to be the best I can. That's it. I wasn't thinking career long term. I'm going to be like, Casey Kasem or Tom Joyner or nothing. I wasn't thinking like that. And then, people start to tell you, man, you've got a gift, son. You could go to a major market. And I was just like, what? Like, major market? What are you even talking about, bro? Like, I got class at 8 o'clock in the morning, bro. Like, I don't have time to get on no, like, what are you talking about, major market? And then, you know, people like, nah, man, like you got real good skills. You know, you're better than so-and-so. And then they started telling me that I was better than the people that I grew up listening to. And I was like, nah, you're crazy. Like, there's no way that I'm better than these guys. You're tripping. And they were like, nah, man, you got better skills. You have better flow and, you know, you're more natural, this, that, and the other. And I was just like, I didn't even want to believe that, bro. Like that was probably, when you asked me, Mo, that was when I believed, like, wow, like you starting to tell me that I'm better than the people that I grew up listening to. That's when I really realized, like, I'm into something else here. Before I even got to Dallas, I wasn't even, you know. And
so
that
you're
was
in
like,
college. You was in college. Like, what were you studying for? What were you planning on doing?
So just business management, man. I wanted to, you know, open up a restaurant or open up my own business. You know, just like any creative mind. I mean, I had ideas for anything. You know, at 14, 15 years old, I was cutting grass. You know, I waited tables, I bussed tables, I used to work at Albertsons, you know, and so I just like to work. I just wanted to stay busy. I wanted to act like I was, you know, achieving something. You know, of course, I had 12 brothers and sisters, so it wasn't a whole lot of extra stuff. So anytime I get my own money to buy a TV or to, you know, buy something, video games or whatever it was just to work. And it wasn't, you know, it wasn't anything that I was, you know, really trying to do. You're young. You just want to get girls. You want to get drunk with your friends. Like, it just like, you know, I wasn't really thinking that far, you know, in my life. It was just like, man, you know,
it's truly a gift.
Yeah. It's like I'm just always in the moment, man. I'm really like, one of my favorite slogans is, it's always right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, never, not any point in your life that you've ever been or where you're going, where it's never not going to be right now.
That's true.
And so I just go all in. If I'm having a conversation with you, you know, at a restaurant or an event, like, I'm with you, I'm engaging with you. You know, that time means something to me. That's a special moment that we share in spirits that we can't get back. And that moment, that feeling has never let me down in my life. You know what I'm saying? No matter where I've been, it's always given me opportunities, always opened up doors. Whether it was at the drive-thru at McDonald's, with the reception lady at the radio station, it's like I'm always, if I'm with you, I'm with you. I'm not on my phone. I'm not searching. I'm not Googling. I'm not, you know, if I'm with you, I'm with you. You know what I'm saying? And that's really what I can say, man. I wasn't really, I mean, like, hey, I want to make money. I want to be rich. That would be cool to have a restaurant named after me, or it'd be cool to have my own business. But I didn't have any plans. You know what I'm saying? I'm in college. I'm chasing girls. I'm trying to find out, you know, next time where we're going to party this weekend. You know, when is the next Master P CD come out? When is Juvie drop? When is, you know, that's all I'm interested in, bro. I'm not even thinking about it, you know.
So radio has seen a lot of shifts since 2000s and whatnot. And you've been in the game for a long time. Like I said, you're a living legend. Can you talk to or speak to, like, how different it is now versus, you know, back when you were coming up in the game?
Yeah, man, it's in so many ways, it's completely different, you know. And I've seen every aspect of the evolution, you know, Cuff. Like, when I got to my first radio station, I was playing records, you know. Then we moved to CDs. Then we had these carts, like 8-track carts that we were playing. You know, then we went to computers, and then we, you know, touch screen. I used to record my phone calls on reel-to-reel machines, you know. And now I'm just speaking on the technology that I'm dealing with, you know, CDs and computers. Then, you know, you could record your breaks and, you know, and play it later and, you know, stuff like that. But as far as the music side, that's a completely different monster, man. When you're talking about Napster, you're talking about MP3s, and then, you know, being able to even whenever you could record on a CD, that was a major deal, man. Like, you could take a CD, keep the basically same quality, and just dub another CD. Now, you know, basically for a couple dollars, you can get a, you know, whole spool of CDs, and you can bootleg everything. Now, all of a sudden, you know, music is everywhere. You know what I'm saying? It's everywhere. Then with, you know, Napster and MP3s, you know, now people are starting to hear music for the first time in other places besides the radio. You know, it used to be the first place you heard something was on the radio, you know, unless you bought it from the store or whatever. But you hear something first on the radio, and then it gets to the streets, and then it gets to the clubs, and then comes the concerts, and then the stars are made. Now it's complete opposite.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the streets, the clubs, the internet pushes everything. You know, my son, 13 years old, man, he's on TikTok all day. Man, I'm telling you, he's got more music knowledge than me. Easy. He right now, he could program a radio station, you know? And that's the evolution that we've seen. It's just completely just, music is everywhere, nonstop. It's quick, you know, it's on TikTok, it's on Instagram, it's, you know, and then it finds its way to the radio, and it take a lot of leverage off the record labels, which the record labels don't have as much juice and control over the artists as they used to. You know, we used to do a lot of interviews, a lot of artists coming to try to push their music. Mm-hmm. Now it's like the artists can do their own interviews on their own platforms. They don't need somebody to interview them and showcase them. You know, they got followers on Instagram and whatever else, so they blow up on their own. And we're trying to get them, hey, can you know?
Let me ask you this. I mean, obviously you talked about it evolving. Is there, and I don't want to use the word fear, but I mean, how concerned does that make you? Because this is how you know, how'd you made your name, how you make your living. But I mean, with the evolution of, you know, people being able to just put out music like that, how does that, how are you concerned about that?
Yeah, so I don't know, man. I mean, people ask me all the time, like, what are you gonna do when this happens? And this is gonna be with this. I'm like, man, I guess I'll figure that out when it happens, you know. I don't feel like any other pressure. You know, I see what has happened with like iHeart and Clear Channel and Radio One, and these people own, you know, 100, 200 radio stations, and they put one DJ on 50 stations, and they put, you know, one program director for the region and stuff like that. Like, it's really depressing, man, when you think about how you know, the syndication is taken away from the local DJs, you know, the local voices that you used to have. You know, I got a morning show from New York streaming in New Orleans. What is that about? Like, New Orleans got plenty of flavor. New Orleans got plenty of personality to have their own show. Now, I wouldn't turn down no syndicated deal. Don't get me wrong. I wouldn't turn it down. But there is a dark side that comes with it. You know what I'm saying? You know, Dee Dee and Lady Jade and Michael Sean and the morning show at K104, man, they've done some amazing things, you know. But there is a dark side. You know, they add more stations. That means they're letting other radio stations go. You know, hey, we just added so-and-so over here. Okay, well, they just fired 3 people at that station. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Somebody, they start moving those syndicated shows in. Somebody's got to go, and somebody's got to be looking for a job. And so there is a dark side to it, but like what you said, man, the evolution of radio is they're running it off more science and numbers than they are actual art.
They're running the actual, hey, the human touch is leaving.
The human touch is leaving. And fortunately, you know, I work for an independently owned radio station. And K104 is one of the last independently owned radio stations. We're not owned by Clear Channel. We're not owned by iHeart, Radio One, or, you know, none of those big conglomerates or whatever. And so, you know, if there's something wrong, you know, the owner's right down the hall. You know, he knows how special this situation is, and he doesn't waste not one day. You know, he still shows up to work every day. He still enjoys the personalities in the hallway. He still understands the power of, you know, local celebrities and local voices, and we don't take that for granted, not one day. Not nobody that walks in that hall, man, takes that for granted, you know. But yeah, not a whole lot of pressure, not a whole lot of fear, you know, other than what I already put on myself. You know what I'm saying? I already am pretty hard on myself. You know, every day I'm like, when I'm on the radio, when I'm in my show, I'm like, hey, I'm cold. I'm on it. No, nothing. But then when I drive home, I always beat myself up every night.
How can I get better?
How can I get better? Why did I do that? I shouldn't have done that. You know, I did that all wrong. I should have played this and then done this and then teased this and then structured it different. I could have, you know, cut some time off and made it tighter, or, you know, whatever. So yeah, that's a natural filter that I have, Cuff, that I go through. You know what I'm saying? I'm high in ego and I'm high in anxiety at the same time.
No, I can dig that because that's the same thing that we do with being, in the podcast world, right? I mean, shit, there's hundreds and thousands of different podcasters out there, but what Mo and I do, the love, the passion, the amount of work that we're putting in on this, so I get what you're saying, where you're like, you know what, I could have asked this question a little bit differently, or did I say? I'm still thinking about a question that I asked you earlier in this episode. And I'm like, man, should I have asked it this way? Should I said it this way? But you keep going. But that's the thing about trying to always outperform yourself and working to, to be the best version of you. It's not what everybody else is thinking and or saying, because you always gonna have haters, you always gonna have critics, and you always gonna have people that that are gonna love on you and say, yo, that was dope. But deep down, like I could have done better on that one. Well, I knocked that thing out the park, whatever it is. So I feel you when you talk about that. It's dope, man. And what you do, people don't realize this. It's an artistry, and I think you kind of touched on that a little bit, man. It's truly a work of art, how you blend conversation with song and spirit and soul. Like it's amazing, bro, for real.
I focus on the connection. That's what I try to do, is I try to visualize what my listeners are doing, where are they at, who are they with, you know what I'm saying? And how can I reach through the microphone, through the car, through the speaker, and grab you and just peel you away from some drama you got, or give you some extra, energy or something. So I focus on the connection. That's what I really, really focus on. Not more or less like what exactly I'm doing, which is why I beat myself up on the way home thinking about it, because I'm so focused on the connection. You know what I'm saying? Like, how can I really talk to them to where I know that they're listening to me? You know what I'm saying? No different than I was doing when I was in the drive-thru at McDonald's. Like, you're hungry, you drive through, you got your family with you, you pull up to the speaker, and I'm on the other end, and I have the food for you. But what else do I have? Hey, I hear the kids. As soon as you pull up in the drive-thru, I hear the kids in the back seat. All right, who wants ice cream? You know what I'm saying? Instantly, you make a connection. You know what I'm saying? Oh, I know y'all hungry. It's hot out there. I know y'all want some, who wants an apple pie or whatever. You grab them and you take them to another place, and then you make a connection instantly. And that's really what I focus on. And, as you develop your podcast and you keep going, that might help y'all too, man. So, and to not beat yourself up so much, but just really, people are watching this. You know what I'm saying? People are going to watch this again. It's going to be, posted. So when they go back and watch it, what are they going to see? How can I connect to them?
I'm curious. When you obviously the gentleman discovered you and you had a high school teacher who believed in you and so on and so forth. Do you have a mentor now? Like, who do you go to now? You have questions, or you want to figure out what it is your next step? Like, who do you bounce things off of?
Man, everybody. Anybody. Of course, my coworkers, seasoned coworkers that have been around other people, that have worked with Doug Banks, people that have worked with Tom Joyner, people that have worked with, Charlemagne the God, people that have worked with, Ryan Cameron from Atlanta. Hey, what do you see in these personalities? What do you see in them? This is an idea I got. What is the best way to execute this idea? If I come up with this idea for a contest, what's the best way to, to get the most out of it? Because they bring up things that I don't think about. I'm always into right now. Like, what can I do right now that's dope? Whereas they're like, okay, let's make sure we promote it right, and let's sure we, sell it right, and we get the most advertising dollars and try to plug all the pieces in. You know what I'm saying? And so, the younger personalities are probably my favorite, man. And I don't necessarily like hit them up for ideas, but I like to hear, what they how they doing. Because it's really the best part is building it. You know what I'm saying? The glory is in the story, how you figure things out, how you find your cadence, how you find your voice, what elements do you bring in? How, where is your energy level like? Because, that's really the best part. Like, once you figure it out, okay, now you're perfecting it, you're polishing it. But just total raw personality and communication skills and figuring out, Lady Jade, I gave Lady Jade her name. You know what I'm saying? Because she was just Jade. And I was like, you know, I think Lady Jade would be dope. But it wasn't something I talked to her about. It just something I just started calling her Lady Jade. And it's like, you know, you look back and you're like, dang, that's dope. How it was just something so simple, like a little bitty of a deal. And she's like, she always reminds me that you gave me my name. I'm like, man, I don't even remember that really. You know, we just, you know,
we were just chopping it up.
Right. We were just topping it up. And that's usually how it's more organic. It's more natural, you know, because you're not faking these listeners, man. You might be able to get over them a couple times, but you're not going to last, you know, trying to be phony. You know what I'm saying? And that's really what I try to do is just go through and then find things that like, you know what, that's pretty dope. Let's try that again. And then people start like the pep rally thing you said you used to listen to, Cuff.
Yep.
You know?
I still remember that to this day.
Go, G-O, go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
but that was organic, all that.
As we push the ball forward, right? This is the Vision Lab.
Mm-hmm.
What is the vision? I saw through your Instagram feed you just recently signed on for another contract, right?
Yes.
So what is the long-term vision for Cat Daddy?
Man, just go all the way, man. In 2019, it was a busy year for me. Amazingly busy. I just people kept asking me what I want to do. What do I see in my future? You know, what would I like to do? And it's like, man, I'm doing it, bro. Like this is, what are you talking about? Like I get to go to the radio station and play music and give away tickets and cut up with the listeners and go to remotes and go hang out at football games and go to career days and give guidance to young kids. I'm like, man, this is dream job. You know what I'm saying? This is absolutely amazing. Like I would do this for free. You know what I'm saying? So people were asking me, what do you want to do? What do you want to do? And so I created my foundation, School is Cool Foundation. You know, I'm already in the schools. We already have great messages for these youngsters, and we have ideas to take those experiences with them to another level. Programs like Lit at Lunch, programs like Field Trip Friday, programs like the radio stations at your school. I want to put radio stations in schools. I want to come to your school. I want to set up equipment. I want to teach you how to run the programs, you know, teach the kids how to read the announcements. Hey, don't forget, there's a game Friday night. We hope to see everybody there. You know what I'm saying? Come on and show your school support. The girls' volleyball teams, they got a big game Thursday. Teach them how to read the announcements. Teach them how to run the program, the music, and then run the speakers, you know, run the speakers through the hallways, run the speakers through the courtyards. That's just the opportunity that I was given. That it brought me to a whole nother, did you break a shot glass? Oh, man. Had to drink straight from the bottle now. But no, that was the opportunity that was given for me, man, and it opened my eyes and showed me a whole nother life. And so, how can I create that for somebody else? You know, I always have entrepreneurial ideas. I got an LLC, my first ever business.
Yeah, there you
branch
go.
Off. It's called Tow Now Trucking. So it's tow truck service. We do roadside assistance. We do, you know, your battery is dead, your flat tire, you know, so we come on, lock your keys in your car. Matter of fact, I got a jingle if you want to hear it real quick.
Let's go.
It goes
Go
like
ahead.
You lock your keys and you ride and you stuck outside. Tow now, and your car got a flat. You ain't with all that. Tow now. If your battery dead, ain't no need to be scared. If your car don't want to roll, baby, you know where to go. Tow now. So yeah.
All right, I like it.
So yeah.
We may have to have them as a commercial spot.
Yeah. Well, it's coming. So yeah, all last year, 2019, I was putting my LLC together, man, getting the paperwork right, you know, making sure I have all my license together, making sure I have all my permits. You know, I bought my first truck, got my logo and all that done for it, you know, but then somebody stole my truck. That was whack, man. But you know what?
Oh, man.
I got my first hater, man. Got my first hater. So yeah.
It means you're doing things the right way.
Man, I'm doing things the right way. So yeah. So now I'm excited about that, man. I'll be the biggest name in tow trucking in the city. You know, there's not an Emmitt Smith towing. There's not Troy Aikman roadside assistance. There's not, you know, Michael Irvin tow trucks. There's none of that. So instantly, with my commercials hitting on the radio and my branding out there, I'll be the biggest name in tow trucks. You know,
Quiet as kept though. Do you have to pay for radio spots?
I will. Yeah, they'll give me a player price. They'll give me a player price. what I might do, I might go flatten my boss's tires, so he has to use my service first. And then,
Yeah, there
like,
you
you
go.
know what? I need a discount on some
There you
commercial,
go.
man, since you need to live real quick. But yeah, I mean, as far as like radio vision, man, I'm that type of stuff takes care of itself, man. I mean, it's an art, and you know, I'm a personality, and I love every part of it. I love every day of it, and so you know, wherever that takes me, it'll take me. I don't have to warm up. I don't have to practice. I don't have to do, you know, train. I don't have to do nothing like that. You know, I show up. I keep up with current events. You know what I'm saying? Stay connected to the city. And that stuff will take care of itself. You know, I would love to be involved with like voiceovers for cartoons, cereal commercials, you know, stuff like that, video games. You know, if you know anybody that does that type of stuff, I would love to send some audition tapes. But I've never run into anybody that does that type of stuff for me to make that connection. But I'm sure it'll happen eventually.
I got somebody that works for EA Sports out in Orlando, so I'll put a text out and a call out to him.
Yeah, see, like somebody like that, I just need to audition. You know what I'm saying? I can do hella voices. I'll do some voices, and then that's easy money, man. Like you talk about easy money, and then you don't get none of the fame. Like you be voice for the EA Sports. EA Sports, it's in the game. Like that dude could walk in my house right now and I not know who he is.
Yeah.
So
right.
You get all the benefits. Yeah, you get all the benefits of the money with all the hassle of the fame. You know what I'm saying? Which would be cool for me. I like my privacy. You know what I'm saying? I like the balance of, you know, notoriety and privacy. You know what I'm saying? And that's a very, very thin line to balance. You know what I'm saying?
That's dope. So listen, as we land this plane, there's a couple questions that we always ask, but before we do,
Right.
I want to give you an opportunity to, I know everybody knows Cat Daddy, but go ahead and drop your social media handles one time.
Yeah, man. Follow me at CatDaddy104. You know, I don't post a whole lot, man. I like to see what y'all are up to. I'm on IG. I don't really be on Twitter. I don't even know my Facebook password. I really don't, man. Like that part of the job is really work for me, bro. Like stopping what I'm doing to tell people what you're doing I don't know. I'm not comfortable. I still haven't figured that part out.
Yeah.
You know, but Instagram is, you know, I check it daily. I post weekly, you know, on my feed, and then on my story, I try to post a few times a day just to keep people up to, you know, entertain and whatever else I see or something that might be cool for me to share with y'all. But yeah, at CatDaddy104 on the IG. What else do I got? I think I'm not on TikTok. What else? I think that's it, man. Twitter. I don't really tweet. I can't tell you the last time I tweeted something out. You know, and then I'm on K104 social media a lot too. You know, on at K104 FM. You know, like if I'm in the studio and I'm doing a contest, I'll tweet it out on K104. Or I'll go live on K104 Instagram and do like in studio with the, you know, with that outlet. So.
Beautiful.
Gotcha.
Mo?
So as we get ready to land the plane, second to last question of the interview. It is you at a round table, and there are 5 other seats. Who are the 5 other people at your table? The only stipulation is you cannot have Jesus there, because who wouldn't want to have him at his table?
All right, right. Who would I have at my table? 5 people. Oh, is this like my wife? Yes, my wife. she just gave me the look like me.
Like, boy, you better.
Yeah. Oh man. No.
Dead or alive. There's no right or wrong answer.
Man, let me tell you, I couldn't pick 5,000, bro. I couldn't pick 5,000 people to be at my table, man. You know, if we've ever spent time together, if we've ever had a conversation, if we've ever shared spirits, if I've ever made you laugh or taken you to a place or had an influence on your life, or you've had an influence on my life, I want you at that table, man. You know, that's what it is. Some good crawfish, man, some cold beer, and great conversation. Man, that's so many mentors, bro. So many people that I would love to have a conversation with, man. So many people that I love to be around and tell jokes with and cut up with, man. It's impossible for me to pick 5, bro. Now, if I had like a fantasy list, you know, like a fantasy list, something like that.
Go ahead.
Let me pick a fantasy list. Golly, who would I pick on my fantasy list, man? I don't know, man. I don't deal too much in fantasy. Let me think. Probably a bunch of athletes, man. You know, I like sports. I really like sports, man. Golly, man. Y'all done put me on the spot with this one, Mo. Man, this is a good one. 5 people I want to sit down and eat with. I mean, it's got to be family, bro, to be honest with you, man. I mean, it's going to have to be family. If I don't have my mom and my wife and my parents there, and my brothers and sisters, I got 12 brothers and sisters. I can't even fit my whole family at the table, man. Somebody
got to go.
Somebody got to go. Oh, no, man. I can't pick 5, man. You got me on that one, bro.
Before Cuff finishes this off, you being from Baton Rouge, is the city still buzzing over LSU?
Man, that's for life, bro. Now, let me tell you how things work out, man. We went to the game. We went to the A&M game. And, man, there's, 100,000 people at the stadium. And we're waiting at the end of the game. And Joe Burrow takes off his wristband and gives it to my son in the bleachers.
Yeah, oh, wow. Man.
Yeah, I got video. I'm gonna post once I clean it up. It's like I gotta edit it and all that, man. But yeah, LSU is gonna be buzzing forever. The best season, and for a quarterback, probably in college history. This is for life, man. Joe Burrow is a saint down in Louisiana.
Yeah,
like,
the made man.
He's gonna have a day named after him, or maybe even a month.
Yeah, he's going to have a got it'll be like Shaq, it'll be like, it'll be on a whole nother level, but he could run for governor tomorrow, man, and win. He's got a great story too, man. Just all faith, no fear, from Ohio, the whole deal, man. He's a saint, man, down there for sure, man. LSU, bro, that was a great season. And then you got the Heisman Trophy. This is like the first Heisman Trophy LSU had since Billy Cannon, it's like 50 years or whatever.
Well, listen, Cat Daddy, we are truly humbled for you to drop by and spend some time with us in the lab. Visionaries, we have had an absolute legend in the building, okay? Before we land this plan, there's one final question that I got for you, bro.
Okay.
All right. Now, if you didn't know, we've got a magic time machine here in the lab. What advice would Cat Daddy be giving himself from 5 years ago?
Ooh, advice from 5 years ago.
So your version of yourself today.
Don't get any free tattoos, man. I got a bunch of free tattoos. Let me tell you something Skip Cheatham told me one time. He said, hey, man, you don't want to hook up on tattoos and LASIK surgery. That's 2 things that you want to pay. That's 2 things that you want to pay full price for, man. Yeah, that's the only thing, man. Don't get any free tattoos. Don't get any discount. Don't get no hookup on something that's gonna stick forever, man.
All right.
Yeah, I don't have too many things that I regret in life at all, man. Like, I'm kind of go with the flow. It's always right now. Make the best. I'm the eternal optimistic, man, no doubt. So I really don't have too many things that I think I wrecked a car a couple years ago. That's it. I wrecked a car. I wish I could go back and just miss the exit. I missed my exit, try to get over, and I ran into it. I crashed my car. What else? Ain't nothing really else, man. That's it, man. My wife said I have a lot of fuck ups, whatever that means.
All right, so we're gonna fast forward the clock 5 years from now. All right, Now you're 5 years older. What advice would the older Cat Daddy be telling himself today?
Oh, man, save your money. You know what I'm saying? You don't need to go out to eat as much. You don't have to go eat boiled crawfish 3-4 times a week. And, drink so much cold beer.
Wow.
Wine. Yeah. No, that's it, man. I'm always like trying to push myself, man, to make right decisions. I pray constantly. You know what I'm saying? Not like get on my knees and, say the Our Father pray, but constantly I understand that, I'm always like, I try to be fluid with my spirit, man, at all times. Like, there's something that I have for you, Cuff and Mo, and there's something that you have for me. And that's how I approach any interaction with people when I get up, and then my decisions that I make. Do I need to leave the house and go get groceries? Do I need to leave, or should I stay here? And I constantly just pray over my decisions. You know, all faith, no fear is what I call it, man. As long as you bringing God in with you, then you can be sure of a good outcome, man. And that's really my mantra, man. That's my motto and how I roll, bro.
All faith, no fear. I love that,
all
bro.
Faith, all faith.
Put that
no
in the
fear,
put that
man.
in the book, Cuff. Put that in the
Put
book.
It's going
book,
down.
Man.
It's going down for sure.
Yeah, man.
All right, to all our visionaries that are listening, remember, the Vision Lab podcast is really designed for you, right? We're trying to give you guys a blueprint to become the best version of yourself. All of our guests, and a special shout out to Steven Salas for making the connection to get Cat Daddy on. And, you know, all of our guests leave breadcrumbs on the trail of life, and it's up to you to pick them up and apply them as you see fit.
Man, that's beautiful. Y'all guys are doing amazing things, man. Congratulations.
Absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, the voice you've been listening to is Cat Daddy of K104. You can hear him weeknights from 7 to midnight. My name is Ryan Mosley. He is Ryan Cuffey. You listen to another great episode of the Vision Lab podcast. We will see you next week.
Blessings.